Welcome to the only podcast where we're the number one guys in the number two industry. This is HydroDynamic Talks. Hi, I'm Chris Morris. I'm the Director of Showroom Sales with VCM, and we're taking this opportunity to show you how to bring value to your business through a resource such as VCM. We appreciate you guys listening in. We've got Bill Cohn here, industry insider and founder of VCM. Well, Bill, one of the things that we really wanted to discuss was how we can add value to the market and what the rep agency is actually used for within our industry. Can you speak to a little bit about how VCM began, how you got into it, and how that's kind of shaping where the market is today?
Sure. There's been a lot of discussion about this in the past couple of years of how we fit into the whole system. We started back in 1980, and my heavens, things are different now than they were then. How we go to market, when we started in the 70s, we didn't even have fax machines. So that's now it's instant gratification and how quick you can react to the demands of the customer. And we've done a good job, I think, of following that. But obviously, what do we bring to the table as representatives? It can be anybody, and any manufacturer's rep, and that is our local relationships that we have worked on for many, many years, and some of the trials and tribulations we've been through in 2022 has really led us to know how much we're appreciated by our customer base.
So you mentioned in the 70s, it was very different than what is now. Basically fax machines were your direct form of communication outside of just in-person relationship.
Right, and that has not changed and will not change. Being in front of the customer is foremost for our success, and quite frankly anybody's. But
just outside of the way you interact too back then versus today, it's changed dramatically, because like you said, we are having to have instant gratification. Everything is either on video or it's documented, so you have to be much more precise and meaningful in the way you go about developing those relationships. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And I think that as you reflect back on the historical view of this thing, technology is, and obviously someone my age, we fight technology because it's different, but I'm trying to embrace it.
Well, you say that, but you really have, you created a website for VCM back before a lot of rep agencies were even doing that.
That's true.
And then you took it to the next level with the integration of all of our social media that we're now trying to incorporate into our actual portfolio to better serve our customer base that we've spent decades now developing.
Right.
I think it's really fascinating. Some of the things too that I think people will get really confused is what is a manufacturer's rep and what services do they actually provide out there? Because I know on my market segment, a lot of times the manufacturer's rep is either underutilized or utilized incorrectly.
Well, we have specific obligations to the manufacturer we represent, and we are a liaison between the customer and the manufacturer. And I think that how we handle that on both sides is you're walking a real tightrope in a lot of instances, because obviously the manufacturer has certain agendas that they want to get across to the market, and we have to deliver that agenda, and sometimes we don't agree with that agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Yet we work for them, and the contract is with them. We all live in a world on a 30-day contract, and that's not very long. It works both ways, but they can decide that they don't like us, and we're gone, and we're gone within 30 days. And that's not a long time to base your whole life on, and we've been in business since 1980, living under those rules. They have not changed.
And that's where that personal relationship really comes in key. And we work off of only a 30-day contract. We've got a lot of moving parts and things like that.
That's true.
At the end of the day, it's the relationship that really helps prolong and grow that business and that reach within our market.
Absolutely, and that's not going to change. And the one thing consistent that we go into uh, the new world of podcast and social media and how we attack that, that's still that whole basis of the relationship is still there. It's consistent.
Mm-hmm. And you know, that's I think, you know, I try and call on as many customers throughout the week as I can just to build those kind of relationships. But that's only one small segment of what a manufacturer's rep is. I know on my side of things, you know, the biggest asset I can be to my customers is to either talk about groupings of product manufacturers, how to enhance profitability and ease of access to certain product lines, and then facilitating them, you know, to actually get out to the job site and all the things that work with that, like trainings and things like that. But it's become, you know, more involved, I think, outside of just the normal, hey, how's it going? You know, dropping off some literature, or, you know, maybe talking about some future projects that are coming up there. Because now we're really having to help not only shape the products that they're moving, but also coordinate all the logistics, the training for the customers that are actually buying it. So there's a lot of things that actually go in to being a rep. And, you know, I know from my experience, one of the things I would much rather be doing versus saying, hey, where is my PO? You know, those kind of emails is to, hey, we think we have an opportunity out there. Could you assist us? And, you know, that's when I think we really take the reins and we go out to, you know, whether it's a plumbing contractor and do specific training, whether it's the engineer where we're actually helping them rewrite, you know, some of their master specifications that have been around since the 70s. So I know that's a big segment that we're going to talk about a little bit later on. I really want to dive deep into it. But I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there as to what a rep actually is.
I know it's kind of funny. Through the years, all I think we do is play golf and go out to dinner. And even our inside people here feel that way. And actually, there is some of that. Sure there is, because that's relationship building. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the job. And we do a good job of playing. I mean, we're good at recreation, as you well know. But, you know, it was funny. We just did a kind of a survey of our customer base and all facets, design, contractors and distributors, and asked them what they thought of us. And one word came back over and over and over again is we were a resource. Mm-hmm. And to me, that is what we are. Especially when you get the design community, they think, oh, this is just another salesman badgering me. And quite frankly, if they'd use us more as a resource, obviously the bottom line is to sell more. But if we feel like we're helping them, especially in the architectural community, they don't utilize us until there's a big mess. And then all of a sudden, you know, we become very popular. And that's kind of frustrating, because if they'd come to us in the first place, we would lead them down the road, not necessarily just exactly to where we want them to go, but help them do a better job at the front end where you don't have the problems in the backside.
Yep. And that was one of the reasons, too, we wanted to really rebrand. You know, I've said this a lot of times to you, probably to your dismay, but, you know, I don't really see myself as a salesman. You know, because I really don't sell anything outside of the services that we provide as the agency. You know, I look at myself more as an educator, a trainer, or even a consultant to some extent. And I like that you mentioned our inside staff. You know, that is a vital part of our agency. It's not just the guys that you see out running around all the time or the ones that get to go out and play golf, but, you know, everybody that works inside the agency as well, the ones that are actually entering our orders in, you know, following up on a lot of the issues that may surround a job site. And then even, you know, into our warehouse, which is a whole nother segment of the business that is, you know, a very big key feature for VCM success. So I think it's, you know, it's really interesting to look at all aspects of the rep agency, you know, not just the outside guys, the inside salespeople, our administrative staff, as well as our warehouse team, and, you know, even our different division heads. So VCM, I think, brings a whole lot to the table as far as that and what kind of value we could actually bring to the table to help our customers out a little?
Well, like any other organization, I mean, we're all as good as, we have to have a mixture of talent, and we do here. There's certain things I like to do, certain things I can't stand to do. Make sure that we have somebody that likes to do those things that I don't like to do, and of course, on the opposite end, you and I are kind of taking over the marketing side of the agency. We've got organizational people, we've got the warehouse, obviously, distribution people, accounting people that, there's just on and on and on. We're no different than any other small company in reality, but finding the right fit for everybody and have them all doing the same, going to the same direction. And that's something we really work hard on here as we wind down 2022, is to hit 2023 with a renewed focus that we're all doing on the right same page, going the same way.
And you said that, most small businesses do this. So I disagree with you there. I think one thing that you guys have really excelled at is really investing not only in your equipment, your facilities, but also your personnel. And in many cases, you've actively recruited, the people that are perfect for the areas that you either felt you were weak in or wanted to kind of grow. I know that's kind of how I started with you guys.
No,
we had a manufacturer that was really focused on a certain segment of the market, and you decided that before just about anybody else did it, that you wanted to go ahead and bring somebody in there to really try and do that. And we ended up taking it from having one line in one state to, I think we're up to 7 states with close to 30 lines now on that segment of the business.
On the decorative side, yeah. And that's another world, really, and I've learned a lot about. Teaching the decorative, the people running these brick and mortar showrooms to compete with the internet and to compete with, pricing when the customer comes in with their phone and they look up every SKU that you show them, and then, you're too high. You're teaching these people how to make money, how to make margins on things, and everybody goes after the big item, where sometimes you show them where the little items is where they make their money.
Well, that's what I was going to say too. The way you have to go and capture those business or that business or that customer is very different, say, on the commercial side versus either residential or decorative. Generally in the commercial side, you guys are really focused on quantity or sales numbers, whereas, our focus is really more on the margin and, preference, really, more than anything else.
Right.
So it's interesting that you have to develop a whole new set of selling techniques for a different segment. We've branched out too, outside of just decorative commercial, to include some waterworks and things like that. So we're always, looking to see what the market is doing to do. So I think it's really interesting how we've actually developed to the point where we are right now. One of the biggest aspects of it is just that question is, what's the value of a sales rep, and how do we bring that to our customer? Local relationships, specific products, customer service, after the sales support, and community building, I think are the big key features of what a rep agency should do. And we've really innovated to how we can reach the most people effectively. I know we just, last weekend, we had a great meeting with some of our partners over on the Zurn manufacturing side. Came down, we had a great time with them, kind of went over our strategy in the market, and I think they were very receptive to how we felt the market was changing and what we needed to do to not only maintain where we are at right now, but grow it at a rate that they're familiar with.
Well, this is true, as going back to what we bring to the table, where's our value. We have to make sure we're understanding what the manufacturers want us to do. We don't need to go out here on a tangent, and if they're not focused on that, then we need to sit down and tell us what you're focused on. We don't want to waste time. Not that it's wasting time, but that's all we have to. At the end of the day, all we have to sell is time, our time during the day, and what we do with it. Let's don't be out here on a tangent that actually is not where they want us to go. And we did challenge the Zurn LK team last week let us know what you want us to do, and then we'll go out there and do it.
Yep.
So that's kind of part of the value that we bring. And that's to any manufacturer's rep, that's their challenge to, whomever they represent, not just, your major lines, your little lines. We all have a mix of lines. Our line card has got some real big companies, and they have some small and independently held smaller manufacturers that maybe make one or two products.
And that might be, one of the other misconceptions that's going on right now too is, people think that we work directly for the manufacturers. We don't. We're the face of the manufacturer, but we're also the voice of our customer. So we like to take that feedback and take it to the manufacturers, like what you were saying, where, if we see a focus to go this way, but the manufacturers don't, there's a disconnect there. That's part of our job, is to help figure out where that disconnect is and how to best service that.
But so many companies go out here and produce a new product, let's just say, and roll it out, and yet they never asked us in the first place, is that something that really is a market going to gravitate toward? Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, some guys on the chopping block up at the top who came up with this great idea, but he didn't do enough polling in the down in the trenches to see whether that would actually work. And you see this happen all the time. I mean, how many products do you see that were a big deal and then all of a sudden they just went away?
Mm-hmm. Well, I know on my side of things, we, LK Manufacturing, the interchangeable apron front seemed like such a fantastic idea for all these designers. But at the end of the day, it was very gimmicky. And one of the things that LK has been looking at is taking away some of those more gimmicky kind of options. And make room for things that people are actually going to utilize and use. So I and I think we can speak to that too with some different product lines throughout the commercial industry as well, that might have seemed fantastic at the time, but in practice was not quite there yet. And I know in many cases you guys went back to the factory and talked with the actual engineers, the developers, to fix those solutions. You ran into one of those issues during the pandemic with the bottle filling station. Shills came up with a great solution for schools specifically, right? Is that kind of the dream?
Yeah, I mean, specifically what we did is we saw when COVID hit that water coolers, as most people know, were shut down. You didn't see anybody drinking out of a water cooler. I mean, they were shut off. They had a sign across them going, "Do not use." And I mean, now it's kind of fun. Now you're seeing those coolers open again, but in that, everybody was buying bottle stations because everybody wanted to fill up a bottle, and that was great for us, and it was great for the industry. The bottled water filling industry or water delivery product industry. But on the other side, then they still had these bubblers that kids always push the button and drank out of, which through the years, all of us have done. They drank out of fountains back when we didn't have water coolers. The old China water fountain you had in your school. And everybody's going, "Oh, we don't want those kids getting anywhere near those bubblers." So we came up and developed a quick fix to eliminate the bubbler that the kid drank out of, and he didn't have a choice. He had to drink out of the bottle station. He had to use his bottle to fill up the water, he or she, and we eliminated the bubbler. And as LK moved forward with the development of the product, they came out with bottle stations that didn't have a bubbler on it, period. So that's
but that shows
an example.
That shows how you really took a situation that you were seeing out in the market, went back with the manufacturers. They didn't have an option right then and there, so you came up with one.
Yeah.
You were a problem solver. You were a resource to help our customers continue to be profitable when a lot of things were shutting down or were hindering.
Right.
And that was a huge deal for us, was really focusing on that water delivery, and how we could effectively get clean and safe products out into the market in such a tumultuous time that we went through.
And we were blessed into having products that the hands-free technology that you don't touch anything. We were the right place at the right time with that in the restroom facilities, and that's still an ongoing challenge in the industry. And everybody's aware of it. I think most of the manufacturers that develop hands-free products kind of thought, oh boy, as soon as COVID's over, it's going to take off like a rocket. Well, in the restaurant business, those poor people were just struggling to survive, keep open. The last thing they want to do is spend extra money on a hand-free faucet, when they want to make sure they can get help to cook the food and serve it.
What changes are you seeing now that the pandemic has dissipated a little bit more, or at least some of the precautionary measures we all had to take are slowly starting to be weaned down? Are you seeing any changes throughout the design community now, or even our distributing partners?
We didn't feel that when COVID hit, we were still wide open. We never closed. None of our customers really closed. Now, the engineering and the design community kind of shut their doors and started working from their homes. That was a disadvantage to us, because part of our success is to do lunch and learns and to get them the CEU credits that they need to continue their professional careers. And all of a sudden, we couldn't do that anymore. And then, of course, you got into Zoom, and that was not an effective way to do it. It was not effective. I don't want to do it anymore. It was pretty hard to just get on a Zoom call and then not even be around them, and no interaction between us and the actual people that we were providing the product information to, other than we were on a screen and they were on a screen, and that just didn't work. Now we are back. That's the change you asked the question was. We are back to having lunch and learns where we actually go into the design community's office and sit down in their office, bring them lunch, and sit down with them, and we can interact with them, whether we have somebody in person doing the presentation, or even a Zoom call.
Well, I think, even to your point, too, when the architects and the designers on my side of things were, kind of closing down and weren't necessarily seeing people, the quality of projects that were coming out into the market were definitely underwhelming in a lot of cases. You could tell that a lot of things were just being done or thrown out there because it's always been done like that, without a whole lot of concern put into, can we get this product, or can we manage our time effectively to get these products? Whereas really, if they would have allowed the rep to come in, we would have been able to say, hey, we've got a long lead time here. We have something very similar that has a lot of the same qualities, if not a higher quality, that we can get your job finished a lot quicker.
That's a very good point.
So I knew that was something that I ran into a lot, was just the quality of the process was really hindered when we were not allowed access.
Yeah, running into the supply chain issue was a huge issue that's still going. It was a double-edged sword. It was, hey, can you get it? It wasn't asking you how much did it cost. Just, can you get it? And I think that's kind of leveling out now. Hopefully we're maybe past that supply chain issues, which you felt in the decorative plumbing side. Obviously, we felt it in the construction. There's still schools right now that can't get open. They were supposed to be open this fall, and they're not, and because they couldn't get windows or roofing or whatever, And I do think that the decorative plumbing side too, the value you brought there during all that time is they were booming. The showrooms were booming because people didn't have anything to do, and they go buy something. And then they got the PPP money, and there was a lot of money out there, and there was people would redo their homes, and that was a big factor in driving the success of it.
Well, too, and you have to look at we really have a split kind of customer base now, because a lot of people that are either slightly older than me or a little bit younger pretty much buy exclusively online, whereas people a little bit older to where you're at buy mostly through brick and mortar. So we really had to try and figure out how to go after both of those customer bases, trying to help protect what they're actually showcasing.
Correct.
So that they're not being shopped online, so that they're not, running from one showroom to the other that shows the same exact product lines. You know, these showrooms and these businesses are really investing heavily into this brick and mortar space, and we want to make sure that we are safeguarding their investments in there.
Right.
And, you know, that really leads back to what we can do, what our agency does that's different than others. You know, as we not only look at, you know, historical data for how things trended in certain ways, and we're fortunate enough to be able to do that thanks to you being in the industry for the last 40 plus years. But also, you know, being able to decipher what is available, what we can get out there, what we have good supply chain success with, what we have good quality shipping, because that was another big issue we ran into, was things might have shipped down to the factories in one piece, but the logistics of actually getting to the customer was a big problem. You know, I can tell you a story of, we had a $10,000 custom bathtub left our factory in Georgia and was being shipped, I believe, into Louisiana. And when it actually arrived in the truck, it was completely uncrated and on its side. Well, we have, you know, most manufacturers do some kind of photography or something like that of the products they ship out. It went out, it was fully a wood crate. I mean, it was packaged very well. But by the time that, you know, went to the factory or got to the customer, it was basically destroyed. And that's another thing we can look at, too, as a rep, is say, hey, you know, we're having a lot of quality control issues from this carrier. So maybe we need to stop using them in certain territories until they enhance their ability to actually deliver product in a non-destroyed manner.
And going back to the value, and as we wind down, the value we bring, we have to listen.
Mm-hmm.
And when we listen, we have to take what we learned and what we heard and make sure we act on it. And so many times you see where the people go, oh, well, we're going to take care of that, and they don't take care of that. Mm-hmm. And that's when you lose a customer.
Yep.
And if you continue to do that, you're not going to be in business.
That's why, you know, I think our inside team, they're really the rock stars of our agency.
Sure.
You know, because they're doing a lot of the grunt work. They're doing all the little things that, because we're trying to go out there and bring new business and new customers, you know, make our old customers more proficient, they're doing a lot of the daily stuff that really helps that chain running. And I think that we have really organized our team to be very proficient. You know, we've got a quote team, we've got, you know, our inside team, we've got administrative team, and then of course our outside sales team. But the after the sales support is one of the, I think the biggest advantages that we bring to the table is, you know, once you send us that PO, our services don't stop. You know,
Right.
You know, we continue, and, you know, we look at trends, we look at what's going on, and we make recommendations to the market that's only going to make it much easier for them to do business and to be more profitable. But I want to thank everybody for stopping by and listening to us as we rant and rave kind of about how our industry works.
As we evolve through these podcasts, we're going to do our best to bring provocative, informative, challenging interviews with different people in our industry, and where you can get to know them and they can kind of get to know us, and whether it be a contractor or a designer, whoever.
If you're in the plumbing industry, we want to hear your side of things. You know, please let us know what your thoughts, some of the struggles you've seen, or even where, you know, some of your partners have dropped the ball. You know, we'd love to hear those things. We'd love to talk to you guys about it. So we've got some good things in the works for you.